Hello, today I'm going to be sizing the duct for a building and showing you how to use an online duct calculator to do it. So let me start by showing you the building that we're going to be doing. So I've removed the name and identifiable information from it, but you can see what we're looking at. It's a small office type building, 6 modules joined together, and we have 5 units. One at the top of module 1, number 2, number 3. The one on number 3 is handling double duty. It's doing, modules 3 and 4. Then we've got 5 and 6, each with their own unit. And these are probably going to, the way we're showing them, they're just going to be Bard or Marv Air units. So the first thing we do in sizing this, the first step I go through is I do the load calculations. Now you may use manual J, I use train trace to do it. Hopefully you're not just guessing. If you're just guessing, shoot me an email and I'm happy to calculate loads for you. I do charge, but to do a building like this takes about half an hour. It just really does not, it's really not a very intense process. So after we've run the loads, we're going to look at the output. What we can see here is module number 1 needs, at a minimum, 24,101 BTUs, which comes to 2, but I'm going to round this up to 2.5 just to make sure the unit can do it. The next one is 1.4. I'm going to round that up to 1.5. Module 3. This is the one that's doing double duty. We're going to put a 3-ton here. Number 5, this is going to be a 1.5, and number 6, a 1.5 or maybe a 2. We'll see. So the tool we're going to use, and I'll include a link to this in the video description. It's at my website under resources. And this one, you can follow the link here, or load-based duct size calculator. And as the disclaimer says, it'll take it a minute to load, but as the disclaimer says, this is just, if you use this calculator, it's just for informational purposes only. It's not intended to be an engineered solution. So there's a couple of inputs that I want to talk about. One of them is the overall resistance that you're sizing around. If you have for example, a typical duct calculator, this is it's the duct friction that you're allowing. So we're sizing it around 0.06 inches per 100 feet of duct resistance. That's fairly typical if you've got a really small system. I've seen people go as high as 0.1 instead of 0.06. But that's if you know what this is and you want to adjust it, you can. A little further down, we've got diffuser sizing. And here you can define at what point, what CFM you want to transition from one diffuser to another. I based mine on the Titus TMS 24 by 24, and I sized it around roughly 0.05 pressure drop at the diffuser, which means a 6-inch will get us up to about 140, an 8-inch up to 245, 10 to 380, and so on. Next, I'm going to pick the unit. So I think I said with the first one we were going to go with the 2.5-ton unit. Bard and Marv Air units put out about 320 CFM per ton. If I were doing a more traditional unit, I could put in 400, and you'll see that the trunk CFM varies based on what I put in here. I can also, I've got a slider to adjust the tonnage of the unit. I'm going to go with the 2.5. Okay, so to start off, our first one, we've got a small conference room, reception, and office 3. So I'm going to type in small conference. Reception, and it's also called open office. Office 3. And then, also from the load calculations, what I want to pull up is the peak cooling load summary. And so what this does, so it tells us, it goes through each room in our system, provides some summary data, And also, the column we're really interested in right now is the space sensible load. This is how many BTUs of sensible load there are in the space. We don't worry about latent when we're distributing air. We worry about it when we're sizing the unit, because that's where the dehumidification happens, is back at the unit. But if we're, right now, this is the only part that we care about. So let me switch back to our, do you know what? Let me make this skin here. This is a little, it's acting a little funny on me. All right, here we go. So small conference, 3145 is how many BTUs. The second one, that open office slash reception area is 6436. Office number 3 is 3536. Okay, I'm going to max it back out. And what it does is it calculates how many CFM I'm going to want going into each space. So if you've got a test and balance requirement as part of your project, this is the number that you put in. Usually I'll round it to the nearest 5, just so that the test and balance person doesn't know that I meant it's got to be dead on 192, that 190, 195 is okay. Then over here I tell it how many diffusers I'm going to use to get the job done. Okay, and so for example, if reception, I could either put in one big 12-inch, or I could have two 8-inch ducts in there. If I have two 8-inch, then maybe that's what I'm going to go with. And the trunk line is 14 when it leaves the unit. It stays 14-inch after it comes off and goes past the small conference. It stays 14-inch until it's picked up reception with those two ducts, at which point it drops down to 10-inch, and then you end up with a little 8-inch branch coming off of that 10-inch. Well, you may wonder why we don't just run an 8-inch the whole way out, and the reason has to do with, you know, we don't want to have excessive pressure drop as we're running through the ceiling. We want to keep it full sized. When you get to the diffuser isn't strictly a matter of pressure drop, as I alluded to. That's what I'm using it for. But the max CFM of the diffuser also has to do with the spread, the coverage, etc. But that's, so it's 14 inches. 14 inches reduces down to a 10, and then you've got an 8-inch branch coming off of it. That's it. That's all there is to it. This has everything sized for you now, and you know, if you want, you can print this sheet off and hang on to it for your records. That's all there is to it. If you have, by the way, if you have any comments or suggestions or anything that would make this easier to use, let me know in the comments. I'm creating additional tools similar to this, so if any of those would be handy, hit subscribe button or like or whatever. If you hit subscribe, it'll notify you when I release something else. But that's it. Thank you for watching, and if I can help in any way, please let me know.